Lights in the sky, mysterious flying objects, bizarre extraterrestrial beings. For thousands of years, mankind has been fascinated and enthralled by the idea of intelligent life on worlds beyond our own. For your enjoyment, over the next 2 hours, we'll show you extraordinary clips featuring inexplicable occurrences, incomprehensible incidents, and mind-blowing instances of apparent alien activity. Whether you believe in life on other planets or think it's all just B-movie sci-fi, grab your tinfoil hat and let us thrill and entertain you with the evidence. It's time to open your mind, look to the sky, and prepare yourself for a close encounter of the unidentified kind as we present to you 100 UFOs caught on camera. First, we're in the Big Apple, with an unusual video captured by a YouTuber filming an oncoming storm from the top of a tall Manhattan skyscraper. But unbeknownst to him, he films more than he bargained. Watch out for the strange black object which zips across the sky. A dramatic clash of thunder lands perfectly, giving the footage a mysteriously ominous feel. On repeated viewing and even in slow motion, the object appears to be out of this world. But then again, as some more sceptical YouTubers point out, it might just be an insect on the lens. A very, very, very fast one. Next, we're in the busy streets of Bangkok, Thailand. What a beautiful day. Just look at those clear blue skies, captured in glorious Technicolor by someone who didn't scrimp on their dashcam budget. But keep your eyes peeled as the driver slows down. The fireball plummets through the sky. Let's take another look. Across the internet, a slew of conspiracy theorists, experts and astronomers debated whether the object was alien, a rock, or even a falling satellite. The fireball remains a mystery. Perhaps it was an alien attack, a real-life Independence Day, or perhaps just a rogue member of the Clangers. This is Chile, South America, and in 2014 a Chilean naval helicopter captured this top-secret, grainy, black and white footage of an unknown craft in their airspace during a routine coastal patrol. As the pilot flips through the different camera settings, it's clear that this object is mysteriously only visible in infrared light. The pilots allegedly made multiple attempts to communicate but received no response, which is alarming in itself, but not quite as alarming as when the UFO releases some sort of gas. The incident was probed for over 2 years by a Chilean government agency and was finally declassified in 2017. Questions about the footage remain unanswered. In good old Blighty, something strange is afoot in the windy streets of London. This shaky camera footage is from someone racing to join bystanders in craning their necks to the skies. At first glance, it seems like somebody's finally spotted a tiny glimpse of that scarcest of sights, the sun. Keep watching though, as they witness something even rarer. This puzzling and fascinating footage reveals several bright orbs racing across the sky. Yet more orbs appear and whiz through the clouds, and one even stops to hover ominously, before zipping away at warp speed. Onlookers shrug their shoulders and continue to complain about the weather. On a crystal clear summer's day in 2018, a Reddit poster was busy capturing some impressive footage of the moon. Unusually, this is filmed in broad daylight, but the crater-ridden surface of the moon is revealed in impressively great detail. Zooming in tight, something appears, literally, out of the blue. Then suddenly it vanishes in a puff of smoke. Here it is again, slowed down. Looks like a metallic disc of some kind. If you've an active imagination, it's possible that we just witnessed a spaceship making the jump to light speed. Over to the Nevada desert now, and a site world famous for alien encounters. In 1997, and shrouded in secrecy, this man in the shadows talks about footage he'd seen of an alien at Area 51. His distorted voice adds to the eerie atmosphere as he describes in detail his bizarre claims about the aliens' intentions.
When you're dealing with beings whose intellect is so far beyond your own, I don't think it's safe to assume they have your best interests at heart.
The footage of the alleged incident is accompanied by strange ethereal music, which conveniently obscures the identity of the government officials present. This, combined with the incredibly dim lighting, makes it hard to judge the film's credibility. Later, the alien appears to be in trouble. Either that, or someone was desperate to showcase their sound effect skills. This is New York City, on the day after Boxing Day 2018.
And it must be insanely bright wherever it is.
And Klaus Hammacher has recorded some truly trippy footage. Like something out of Cloverfield, the sky over the city is illuminated by a stunning blue light display.
I thought at first it was like Aurora Borealis or something.
Yeah,
Well, that's one explanation, but as the clip goes on, it doesn't explain this sudden and dramatic denouement.
Oh, that's been up.
What?
The press was later told it was just an explosion at an electrical power station. Spoil sports. That's the end of the first part of our journey into the weird world of UFOs caught on camera. And if that's thrilled you, stand by for more extraterrestrial entertainment after the break. Welcome back to 100 UFOs caught on camera, where we're enjoying unexplained events that can happen anytime, anywhere, and to anyone. Next, we have some stunningly clear footage shot on a beautiful sunny day in Banbury, Oxfordshire. We're not quite sure what it is we're looking at first. Skip ahead 40 seconds and suddenly all that changes as a strange and mysterious object materialises out of nowhere.
Gotcha. Look at that.
The man filming it clearly has camera issues as he struggles to get the UFO into focus, but when he does, an impressively large cigar shape's revealed, giving off a curious light and prompting a worrying question.
Are you scared it might abduct us?
No.
Too many movies, young man. Dad has the answer though, which seems less plausible than a UFO.
Yeah, it's Putin, mate. It's the Russians.
Seems like we wrapped that one up. It's another beast from the east.
That's a superb UFO.
I thought you said it was Putin.
How is it tube shaped?
Cigar shaped.
To be fair, he shouldn't know what a cigar is at his age.
It might be just a saucer sit on its side.
Yeah, whatever, Dad. Next, it's tea time in Malaysia, where a group of friends had their meal interrupted by some mysterious lights in the sky. The zoomed-in footage clearly shows two flashing blue lights overhead. The lights could be mistaken for planes, but on closer inspection, they seem to move and flicker in an unusual pattern. Or is that just dreadful phone camera work? But as we skip through the footage, these local jokers seem entirely unconcerned about what they see.
We try to contact with the aliens, you know, to see. We haven't received any calls from the alien yet. You know, the message like, I come in peace or whatever.
Well, have they got your number? But eventually they reach a general consensus on the cause of the weird twinkling lights.
Definitely a toy. No message, I come in peace, whatever.
So Danny, what do you think? FT, what's that?
Non-flying toy.
Well, that's that mystery solved then. Just to check, fellas, have you been drinking?
Okay, and by the way, I'm having Chinese tea.
Cheers. Over to Cape Canaveral, Florida, and an explosive clip from the enlightening documentary Alien Contact: Outer Space. Narrated by a gravel-voiced Lee Marvin soundalike, it explores the reason why Elon Musk's space rocket spectacularly exploded.
To space.
The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket exploded on the launch pad 40 during a pre-launch static fire test.
Luckily, Elon hadn't strapped his car to this one.
1st of 2016.
Explaining the reason for Elon's failure to launch through multiple slow-motion replays, the documentary shows in shocking clarity the unknown object and the devastating impact it seems to have on the rocket.
Launch pad just before it exploded.
Complemented by ominous music that sounds like it's taken from an old horror movie, the film painstakingly examines why the UFO is not a bird.
Had spotted high magnification analysis of the video, according to UFO researchers, shows an object that is clearly distinguishable in appearance and flight characteristics from all other birds that can be seen in the video flying in the vicinity of the launch pad.
Despite how detailed this documentary is, I'm not convinced.
To date, no one knows what caused the anomaly.
I do. It's a bird. If it looks like a bird and flies like a bird, then it must be a bird.
The nature of this.
Over to the USA's eastern seaboard, where this live weather forecast on Buffalo's Skywatch proves that it's not just amateurs with camera phones who get excited when they capture evidence of alien life.
Folks, what was that? Did anybody see that thing go
Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's take another look at that. It might be blink and you'll miss it, but meteorologist Andy Parker certainly seems to think he saw something. And he invites the good old folks at home to spark a debate about what looks like a solitary firework in an otherwise featureless sky.
61, start the UFO sightings now. Go ahead and put them on Facebook.
Let's look at that again. It appears from nowhere and races off the screen. In Jerusalem, it would appear that two friends have met in the moonlight to film the stunning lights. But look closer at the sky. That's no moon. Bearing in mind this surreal footage was shot in the Holy Land, could these wise men be filming something much more profound than an ordinary drone in the night sky? And just when we think we've solved this one, a little later, this happens.
Whoa!
If that's not impressive enough, a quick glance upwards reveals faint red flashes in what appears to be an eerily accurate tribute to Steven Spielberg's sci-fi classic Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Or is there a more mundane reason for the lights in the sky? To give it more credence, this incident was actually filmed by multiple people around Jerusalem. Back to Buffalo's Skywatch 7, where a week after the first UFO sighting, another strange anomaly is caught on camera, demonstrated by a rather excitable weather forecaster.
Stop it. Now I'm going to get right in the way. This appears through the clouds. Watch what happens, because it moves pretty quick. I'll get out of the way. Comes at us and goes over. What do you think that was?
A quick review of the footage reveals a ball of bright white light whizzing across their time-lapse, leaving everyone confused.
That one, because I don't know what happened there. Anyway,
who knew UFOs loved Buffalo?
To see this evening.
Meanwhile, in Israel, this spectacular yet sinister footage, captured from a moving vehicle, looks like an alien invasion straight out of an epic sci-fi movie. The mushroom-shaped cloud formation certainly looks ominous, as if either a bomb has been dropped or a craft has landed. Honestly, where's Will Smith when you need him? Over to Dublin now, where this man has captured some unusual activity on a glorious sunny day, which for Ireland is in itself unusual. Look up at the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's two gleaming discs floating above. Cue the speculation.
Oh,
That's a balloon.
they're called UFOs.
It's a balloon, Rudy.
It's called UFO.
They're not aliens.
You don't know what they are, so they're called UFOs.
It's not aliens. It's balloons.
There's plenty of light-hearted banter as these two debate back and forth whether it's a balloon or not, but later on, one of them declares there's only one way to settle this.
I'll put that up on YouTube there now, and they'll probably tell you exactly what it is.
Balloons.
Well, they could be balloons, but it could be UFOs as well, because you don't know what they are, so they're called UFOs. Look how they disappeared. They probably went to some transwarp or something like that.
Genius. Upstate New York in the good old US of A. On 16th of November 2018, an onlooker captured footage of what appears to be a metallic object floating high above Long Island. The uploader claims it's a shape-shifting UFO, and looking like a sparkly floating hubcap, this grainy zoomed-in footage does look clearer than similar sightings, even giving us a twinkling finale as it disappears. Now to Vero Beach, Florida, and the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrials. Moments into a group training exercise, captured in grainy, slowed-down footage, a golden light appears on the horizon, to this group's obvious surprise.
Oh my God.
The organisation believes it's possible to summon UFOs through group meditation and cosmic consciousness.
Wow.
It might all sound like hippie nonsense, but as we fast forward through the murky evening footage, another one appears, proving to the group that there truly is something otherworldly going on.
Oh, here they come.
As they hover in the distance, Dr. Greer's calm commentary gives a truly spiritual feeling to proceedings.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
They were waiting for us to arrive.
Hang on, surely it's them who've just arrived, not us.
Whoa.
Jacques, please photograph.
Yeah,
All cameras should be filming. So connect to them in your consciousness and invite them here.
But for all Dr. Greer's attempts to invite them closer, he doesn't seem to have much success.
Let's welcome their beings on board to join us in meditation.
Anything? No. He keeps trying, though.
That is such a beautiful color, so you'll never forget that color. Yeah, this is a major event.
Major event? Be nicer if the shots were clearer then.
So open your heart chakra and send them the beauty of humanity.
Maybe it's this guy that's from another planet, not those grainy balls of light in the distance. Eventually, the lights fizzle out together with the chakras, leaving Dr. Greer to bask in the success of cosmic consciousness, or something like that.
Cam, time?
9:15.
9:15, so the mark time.
Perhaps the aliens are just having an early night.
9:15.
And now to Houston, as you've never seen it before, from thousands of feet up in the stratosphere. This grainy, vertigo-inducing CCTV footage of a routine maintenance mission on a NASA shuttle turned out to be anything but humdrum. Seemingly uninterested in the astronauts' hard work, the remote camera clunkily swings around to get a better view of Houston from its impressive vantage point way above the city.
Hello, Houston. We got a good clear view of it.
As the camera finds focus, 1 minute and 17 seconds in, and despite the poor quality of the footage, what becomes immediately apparent is that Houston does have a problem. The problem being the alarming number of objects flying above it. The shocking footage shows various objects shooting off in different directions at different speeds, perhaps attempting to avoid detection in the approaching daylight. What is alarming is the sheer amount of UFOs caught on this camera. And had the astronaut not had his back turned at the time, he would have been quaking in his moon boots. But as we all know, in space, no one can hear you scream. Paris, France, where this next incredible and chilling piece of footage may prove that not all UFOs are from outer space. In 2011, a black triangular UFO was seen stationed ominously above the city. The unnerving images with their eerie green tinge show this sinister craft in exceptional clarity. And as the camera zooms in, we're even given a glimpse of the top, which gives it the appearance of a man-made craft, quite possibly a spy plane, so popular with conspiracy theorists. But that wouldn't explain what happens next. Wow, that's bright. Au revoir. In 2015, US pilots in an FA-18 Super Hornet witnessed a spectacular unidentified aerial phenomenon while on a training exercise. Later, their state-of-the-art radar was able to detect and lock on to an object moving at incredible speed, to the sheer excitement of the pilot. Although on playback the footage looks like a grainy black and white video game, it's actually recently declassified material, and as we move through the clip, the language doesn't get any more technical. Chatterton Park now near Manchester, where Andy Swindles, aka the Killer Shrews, filmed some rather shaky footage of a remarkable looking object silently floating in the nighttime sky from the relative safety of his back garden. Despite numerous attempts to zoom in for a clearer shot of what it could be, we're ultimately left with more questions than answers. If UFO spotting is to become your passion, then a serious investment in some specialist equipment might be a very wise idea. Snowflake, Arizona might sound made up, but it's a real place, and living there is Savvy, who describes herself as a psychic medium and who captured this disconcerting event on 19th of September 2015.
So I had to come and video it. What the hell is this?
Although it's hard to tell exactly what this is due to the shaky and rather distorted footage, Savvy appears to have captured what looks like a chemtrail in the sky.
Come look at this.
But moments later, things take a more disturbing turn when something else suddenly protrudes up through the clouds.
What the hell?
The fact this is recorded between 6 and 7 a.m. might explain the somewhat sleepy response from who we assume as Savvy's family.
Coming down. What is that?
I don't know.
Get the man a coffee. But then later on, things take another unexpected turn as another ball of light descends from the bottom of the cloud.
That is so strange.
Not as strange as that background music. A final wide shot offers up no plausible explanation for this creepy event.
I don't either, but it started out so small and just grew so fast.
All right, you can stop with the scary music now. We've come to the end of part 2, and it's time to come back down to Earth. Join us soon for more phenomena from other planets, if you dare. Welcome back to another selection of UFOs caught on camera, and coming up are more inexplicable goings-on to enthrall, entertain, and keep you looking at the skies. Now to the skies over the Aegean Sea, where holidaymaker Kerry Farides captured this incredible footage, which appears to show something sinister piercing the clouds alongside the plane and startling the passengers.
What is that? What is
Not to
that?
mention Kerry's wife.
Kerry, what is that? Holy
What at first looks like some sort of rocket penetrating the clouds gradually starts to look more like a large saucer. Luckily, Kerry was ready with his camera to record this extraordinary phenomenon, but he and his wife were none the wiser as to what they were witnessing. With aircraft typically flying at speeds in excess of 530 miles an hour, it makes it even harder to fathom just what's going on. Bet they couldn't wait to show their friends their holiday video, though. More unidentified flying objects on the news, this time in Argentina. During a passionate discussion on the effects of pollution on the city, one of the anchors appeared to spot a UFO in the live sky feed behind them in the studio. Her obvious excitement is evident straight away. When viewed close up, the footage does seem rather pixelated, and her colleague seems less convinced and asks for something unusual on Argentinian television. Well, seeing as you both asked so nicely.
Porque no es un avión.
A drop in temperature now as we head over to Manitoba, Canada, where following a fresh dump of snow, this inquisitive lady turned alien tracker thinks she stumbled on physical proof of aliens, a close encounter of the second kind. Her frosty footage reveals footsteps in the snow. There's a deer's hoof print, squirrel tracks, but what on earth is that?
Alien footprints. They look like they go from like the neighbor's house. But look at the spacing between them. That's huge. That's some big spacing.
Is it an alien? Or is this lady's neighbour actually Bigfoot? After all, it is Canada. Either way, it's freaked her out.
Like, there has been an alien UFO report around here from a few years ago.
Over to Newark, Ohio, where YouTube user and UFO spotter Punky Doodle captured an intriguing light in the night sky. At first glance, it looks like a single gold diamond, but it isn't alone for long.
Oh, there's two.
Punky Doodle's calm narration through what could be an alarming UFO situation would suggest that this is not her first encounter, which might explain how she knows so much about this strange anomaly.
This is really great. It's highly unusual that I get... Oh, it's gone into flash mode. It's highly unusual I get two of them together. Mostly it's just...
Finally, as the footage goes out of focus, Punky appears to blame the lights themselves.
Oh, they're blurred out my camera because they're moving towards me.
And even seems convinced they're communicating with her directly.
I would say they are probably about 100 feet from me, so... Oh, okay, I think that's it. I think they're trying to tell me no more. I'm gonna end video now.
To the home counties now, and Bracknell, Berkshire, where this impressive close-up footage of the moon, captured by Jason Callum, shows it in extraordinary detail. But what's that in the right of the screen? There's something gliding gracefully across the shot, and as he reframes the object, it becomes even clearer. But what is it? Perhaps it really is an alien craft. Or maybe this phenomenon's origins are entirely man-made. Now to the Nevada desert, where a truly stunning display was featured on the rather bluntly named US TV show UFOs, the best evidence ever caught on tape 2.
The naked eye could not make out, because to the naked eye, it looked like just a speck.
He may not know how to spell his name, but he knows a UFO when he sees one.
In the sky.
The footage showing what looks like a flashing robotic vacuum cleaner floating in the night sky is truly remarkable, but is it real? Well, the programme's makers were convinced, so much so they even roped in Star Trek's Jonathan Frakes, whose urgent investigative voiceover seems to boldly go where no narrator has gone before.
The UFO video you are now seeing has never been shown publicly. Visually, it is perhaps the most spectacular UFO footage ever shot.
And if anyone's going to recognise a visitor from another galaxy,
as it sounds, it appears to be a real flying saucer.
It'll be Star Trek's Commander William T. Riker. As we move on through the programme, even Commander Riker errs on the side of caution, freely admitting to a plausible explanation involving a local festival of lights. No surprise there, then.
The object he videotaped could have a very earthly explanation.
Damn, it looks good. That's a really good effect, whatever that is.
Bearing in mind that this was the 90s, it probably looked impressive for the time, but nowadays it just looks like your regular sparkly nighttime disco drone. Suave Eric is still holding out, though.
That's a pretty beautiful object, whatever it is.
Amsterdam, where cafe culture has taken on a whole new meaning, and if you aren't seeing little green men, then you're probably not taking advantage of all the city has to offer. For this passenger obsessively documenting his takeoff from Schiphol Airport, there was an unexpected treat when he captured something strange floating alongside the plane. It's only a brief glimpse because at the time he was high, in the clouds, too transfixed on the soft white vapour to notice, but when he checked the footage back, he discovered this was no hallucination. The skies over the USA, and an exciting clip that looks like something straight out of Top Gun, complete with expletive-filled comm between two US fighter pilots.
Drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
Captured by the cockpit camera of a US fighter jet, it shows a shocking encounter with an anomalous aerial vehicle, military jargon for a UFO. The thrilled voices of the modern-day Goose and Maverick over the grainy footage reveal just how extraordinary this sighting is.
Look at that thing. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
And indeed, these high-altitude UFO hijinks are enough to take your breath away.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Now to Phoenix, Arizona, and the bizarre testimony of John Edmonds, the owner of the Stardust Ranch, an infamous site that he boldly claims to be a gateway to an alien portal in this incredibly blurred webcam footage.
We discovered along the way that, for whatever reason, this ranch is very attractive to ETs. And not friendly ETs, unfortunately. And so
Over the course of 2 hours, the low-res tape resembles a highly disturbing book at bedtime, where John proceeds to tell us about his violent encounters with these alien beings.
and we ended up literally having samples of a gray ET that I killed that I ended up sending off to a lab in Grass.
What for? DNA? Was it a relative?
And that became the first legitimate evidence of ET life in the world.
A little later, he dispassionately tells us what he did on another occasion, presumably to get more blood samples for testing.
I literally ran one through with a samurai sword.
Further into this fantastical alien story, John pauses to answer a question when a curious grey entity appears behind the wall in the background.
I mean, I don't.
Can you see it? Seems a little shy.
Ability.
Could it be an alien waiting for John to finish his scary, terrifying stories? If so, it had better scarper before John runs through it with his trusty sword.
Do any kind of subterranean.
Over to the Emerald Isle, to the town of Carlo. Here, a local has whipped out his mobile camera to shakily capture a strange light hovering in the evening sky.
What the
Reacting in the usual fashion to a UFO sighting, both seem to be bamboozled. Once the phone's stable, it clearly shows a white disc moving in an unusual way.
What is that like?
In fact, these two are so taken with what they see, they stay for some time guessing.
It's definitely not a plane, like, because it's going backwards and forwards. Could be.
Maybe his young friend's right. After all, helicopters can go backwards and forwards. Oh, and they can hover too.
It's moving, not like a helicopter though, you know what I'm saying?
Blarney. And now to Lyon, France, where Sébastien Monet captured this perplexing footage of 3 fantastic glowing discs hovering over the French countryside. The camera work might be shaky, but these objets volants non identifiés are clear. Just as one leaves, another arrives, to Sébastien's utter amazement.
Ah ouais, elle vient d'arriver. Elle vient d'apparaître.
Sacré bleu! GCSE French, anybody? Later, in a moment of kismet, Sebastian's love of cheesy Swedish folk pop, faintly heard over the rumble of the diesel engine, perfectly aligns, so that ABBA's profound lyrics eloquently reflects this striking encounter. I think we can all agree there was definitely something in the air that night, Sebastian. Back to the busy roads of Bangkok for more extraordinary footage of bizarre lights in the sky. Watch out for this sudden and striking bolt from the blue. The brilliant burst of light dramatically illuminates the dark night sky. Watch this amazing spectacle again and ask yourself if this really is evidence of alien activity. In Texas, during an episode of 2012's high-octane Geek Fest Chasing UFOs, research investigator Erin Ryder puts the F into UFO, amazing herself with an exceptional encounter while filming the night skies.
They almost look like... Whoa.
What the was that?
The drama in this eerie night vision footage is ramped up by the pounding soundtrack, but nothing can quite prepare you for this.
Flying saucer. Whatever that is, I don't know what that was.
The team clearly think they've just seen a flying saucer, or have just been stunned into silence by Ryder's language.
I might need to play back this footage. Like, I'll do my due diligence. I'll get as much evidence as I can.
For a self-claimed skeptic, Ryder's genuine shock and excitement is palpable, especially when the playback highlights an unmistakable saucer shape in the sky.
So there's this light I'm following. Get ready for right in here.
Holy weird. Really weird.
I know, who knew swearing was contagious? Meanwhile, in Australia, there are some strange goings-on in a field in Victoria. During his morning walk, a YouTuber with the peculiar name Bright Garlic stumbled on a strange phenomenon.
That's about the best view I can get.
Despite being both shaky and foliage-filled, Garlic's shot from the high vantage point of a nearby tree delivers a clear view of the 5 precise circles with linking corridors, which are as impressive as they are intriguing. Skipping ahead, we see evidence from Garlic that this is not the first time it's happened. But with most crop circles revealed to be hoaxes, He's probably just been fooled by arch nemesis Boring Onion. Downtown Toronto, where in 2013 a YouTube user simply known as Green Ting spotted an intriguing object floating through the dramatic skyline.
It's pretty big, eh? Doesn't show up as well as what you see on the camera, but it's pretty big.
Filmed just before dusk in the magic hour, the setting sun gleams off the skyscrapers, giving a calm, tranquil atmosphere to what could be quite an alarming situation. The slow, steady trajectory of the mysterious black sphere clearly distinguishes it from the birds flying around.
There's a plane above it kind of now, eh?
And although it's not clear what it is, at least it seems to have come in peace. To the skies over Mexico now, where in 2004 Mexican Air Force pilots on the lookout for drug smugglers recorded the following low-quality but unnerving footage on their cockpit cam. At first, there appear to be two bright orbs, only visible on infrared, but later on things get a whole lot weirder. The arrival of a whole host of other inexplicable lights, clearly causing quite a panic over the radio. And I'm not surprised if the cartels are now using aliens as drug runners. I'd be shocked too. That's it for part 3, and it's time to come back down to Earth until our next expedition into the entertaining world of little green men in the next part of 100 UFOs Caught on Camera. Welcome back to 100 UFOs Caught on Camera, and we have another mind-boggling parade of inexplicable activity to confound you, thrill you, or make you say, hang on, that's just a weather balloon. We'll kick off with another controversial clip. Over in Ontario, Canada, some particularly grainy footage filmed over a frozen lake shows a sparkling yet eerie manifestation up in the heavens. Once the uploader zooms in, there's an unmistakable diamond of light in the sky, but surely everything zoomed in this much turns into a shiny blur. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, we've no idea what you are. Over to Russia now, and a Soviet thriller dripping with intrigue.
This Soviet Air Force footage was obtained by a group of Russian ufologists.
This military footage is taken from the action-packed expose The Secret KGB UFO Files, presented by none other than 007 himself.
What we are looking at is a view from the cockpit camera of a MiG-23 Flogger.
Sir Roger Moore's silky tones contrast with the grainy footage of a MiG fighter jet on the tail of what looks like two, make that one target.
Here is the same.
There was never an official explanation for the morphing objects. Perhaps they should have asked Q.
Flight characteristics of NATO.
Down under now, where this Australian YouTuber with the unfortunate name of the Polished Knob was startled by something outside his home.
Spotlights, God.
This handheld footage shot in glorious night vision certainly adds some drama to this scene. This knob is not happy with the look though, as he rushes back inside to plug in his hefty spotlight. Skip forward and we get to see the reason for the earlier panic, although it looks like he's just trying to catch the culprit who stole his washing.
Oh, there it is. Holy
Could it be a little green man? There's clearly something there.
Way to go, way to go.
It would appear the Martians have finally landed down under.
Say it, f***ing stared right at me.
I'll say this in Antipodean for you, one more flaming time.
Oh, there it is. Holy
Fair dinkum, I think you got a UFO, mate. The UK and London's Gatwick Airport, where the sighting of drones meant the normally bustling lead up to Christmas was replaced with this.
Well, as you can probably see, there's not much going on at Gatwick here at the moment.
The eerie footage of the airport on lockdown, together with a brooding sky, has a certain menace to it. It shows the full effect of the crisis, but with no drones ever found, do we get a glimpse of the real culprit, a disc in the sky? With all flights grounded, this illegal alien wasn't getting through customs. Next, an intriguing clip from the History Channel's mysterious Missing in Alaska. Whilst looking into the disappearance of a mountain climber on Mount Hayes, the hirsutes and hat-wearing investigators, who resemble a Motorhead tribute band, captured something rather unexpected on their camera.
I did it at higher shutter speed to avoid blurring, so there is no blurring associated to this. I want you guys to take a look at this.
With the music building the drama, this is going to be good.
And here's our object.
I thought you said there'd be no blurred images.
Oh, wow.
Well, unlike this guy, I'm not blown away yet.
But I want to see what's on our trail cams that we set up.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
I expect you'll find another blurred image. Moving on.
Whoa, whoa. Look at that. They caught it.
They all seem to be enthused by the small dot floating here on screen.
Look at that. Just back it up. Looked like it just went right back behind Mount Hayes.
Based on its position.
Analysis of the objects on the show using Whizzy graphics proved it travelled at over Mach 1, justifying our hatted quartet's incredulity. Milan, the fashion capital of the world, and the case of Antonio Urzi, who has more than 2,500 video recordings of UFOs to his name.
Of April at 6:50 p.m. He noticed
in this unnerving home movie, included in a revelatory documentary about the renowned alien spotter, it's clear to see why Urzi is so obsessed. Alarming footage clearly shows a metallic-looking disc hovering frighteningly close to his home. Oh, there's one more thing you should know about Urzi. He likes to go alien hunting with his nan.
Corri, vai giù a sentire, vai giù dalla nonna, corri. Corri!
The driving music ramps up the drama, along with Urzi's urgent cries, making for a tense watch. Sadly, when Urzi went to fetch a stool, the flying saucer disappeared before Granny could even catch a glimpse.
At the end, the disc seems to suddenly disappear. Actually, Antonio switched his camera off and then on again.
How convenient. To North Carolina and a spot of night fishing. This calm and soothing footage was captured in November 2018 and shows two mysterious lights floating above the ocean. The warm orange glow and the gentle crashing of the waves creates the perfect mood for some time alone with your rod. When two more lights appear, our relaxed fisherman doesn't seem at all worried about this potential UFO invasion. He's far more concerned with catching his supper.
Okay, now there are four again. How that happened? I don't know. Still wish I could catch a fish.
Over to Florida, where this unnerving footage, uploaded on Twitter in 2018, shows three orbs floating in triangular formation in the night sky. The uploaders clearly panicked as he and his friend round up their dogs so they can leave before they get zapped.
Get the dogs, babe, go get them.
The naval base nearby could offer up a potential explanation, but the friend doesn't seem so convinced.
It's going over there. I think it might be something from the naval base. I don't know.
I don't do what flies like that. And when I first saw it, it was like
Touch
a
my
circular
heart.
like that.
The UK, where YouTube user Omex2005 spotted a strange cigar-shaped object floating in the sky above Denton, Manchester in July 2011. Although the footage is shaky and zoomed in from a great distance, the long shape and strobing coloured lights are unmistakable. Omex boldly posted online that this is the best UFO ever recorded. Yep, yours and millions of others. To Hollywood, and a classic from director Steven Spielberg. No, not Close Encounters of the Third Kind or even E.T., but the thrilling shark-infested 1975 masterpiece, Jaws. Who'd have thought it would feature a UFO? And I don't mean an unidentified floating object. During this truly hair-raising twilight scene out at sea, the tension when the shark is circling the boat dramatically builds, aided by the sinister score, which suddenly subsides just in time for something to shoot through the back of the shot. Yes, we are. Not sure about Chief Brody, though. He looks spooked. Did you see it? Well, if you didn't, keep watching, because it appears again in the very next scene. Thereby proving beyond doubt that this is not a set, but a UFO in a real location. Let's see that again. With no service to the plot, did Spielberg actually capture a UFO on film? And does this explain his ongoing sci-fi fascination? Down under again, and another amusingly named Australian alien hunter, this time enthusiastic photographer and vlogger Benon Julius William Otto Kobsch, who got an unearthly surprise when he set up a time-lapse to capture the night sky.
This is where it gets confusing for me. First of all, I'll show you the clip. Have a look at this.
Despite his clear enthusiasm for what he's filmed, the results are hardly conclusive. Luckily, Kobsch has an answer for this.
And now I'll show it again, just cropped in on the side there where that little UFO action happens.
Ah, that's better. Can you see it dancing around the screen? The man with 4 first names clearly knows his stuff, and luckily is on hand later on to break it down for the viewers at home, with a simplified explanation of how a time-lapse works.
I'm filming it at a 30-second shutter. Now that's where it's confusing me, because a 30-second shutter means what we're seeing here, this little action on the side here, this thing zigzagging, each one of those frames, that UFO has sat in that particular spot for 30 seconds. Now in a previous video, you see a ship go across the horizon, and it goes pretty rapidly across.
And with the comparison of a boat added to the mix, I think it's safe to say that I'm not sure what it is we're looking at. Sorry, Benon Julius William Otto Kobsch.
I'm just really confused. I mean...
Now that's something we do agree on. California again, and a real-life X-File from 2017. Alien-obsessed YouTube channel UFO Seekers, on the hunt for an abandoned airbase, struck gold when they recorded this spooky piece of paranormal activity.
What in the hell?
The footage, carefully edited to eke out maximum unease to an overly tense soundtrack, gives a mystical and chilling feel. Committed ufologist Tim Doyle then talks us through how they shot that footage on that fateful day.
We hiked about 800 feet up a mountain, and we did some topography research. This gave us a great view of what we thought was supposedly an unmanned aircraft.
The covert style of his explanation adds a sense of danger to proceedings, almost like they shouldn't even be there.
Researching the local airspace complexes for the military, and that's when Tracy looks up and Money spots that object up in the sky. No sound, no wind. I mean, what else can I say? It's just a straight up and down object. There wasn't any wings.
Close-up analysis of the video seems to show an X-shaped craft. The excited UFO seekers couldn't have expected to see this.
Slow with wind, definitely.
An X in the sky, surely a case for Mulder and Scully. Making our way to Squamish, British Columbia now, where the prize for the most cameras and gadgets goes to Rob Freeman and his friends. He even has a name for his impressive UFO spotting tackle.
The WMD, Weapon of Mass Detection setup.
37 seconds in though, and we witness the reason for the elaborate setup, ironically captured in shaky handheld night vision.
Oh.
What the hell?
It's in the woods.
Yeah.
As soon as it appears, it's gone, leaving the group to ponder on what it might be.
I've lost it now, but I got it. Could have been an airplane, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. There was no sound.
You'd have thought with all that kit he could have caught something a little more conclusive.
Let's play it back.
In December 2018, in Kalgoorlie, Western Australia, local resident Lee Stevens whipped out his smartphone to capture a dramatic thunderstorm taking place in someone's scruffy backyard. Quite why this impressive display from Mother Nature was filmed in portrait mode is in itself strange, but even stranger things are about to happen, baffling our onlookers. Just as another strike of lightning hits, a large green blanket of light appears in the distance, adding a new level of intrigue to the multicoloured light show.
Look. What is that?
What is that? Isn't that weird? I so hope I got that on video. The lightning was right there and that's what happened after lightning.
Lee then zooms in to get a better look, but is left perplexed.
What is that?
It's the Northern Lights in Kalgoorlie.
It's the Northern Lights in Kalgoorlie. That is so
Zoom back
weird.
out so you can see it, like it's always in Layla.
Well, it's definitely not the Northern Lights, fellas. You're in Australia.
Look at it.
Yeah, no. It's changed.
As Lee keeps filming, the object appears to change shape, but still leaves no clue as to what is the cause of this amazing display. Over to Argentina, where YouTuber Luca Gentile, a once self-proclaimed skeptic, posted this eerie footage online. Recorded covertly through a tree, the handheld camera work, together with the addition of sinister sound effects, makes these ring-shaped cloud formations turn from beautiful curiosities to something altogether more menacing and otherworldly. Could these be UFO contrails? If you ignore the eerie music, they could be friendly smoke signals from another world. Either way, I'm still left with the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. Good work, Luca. That's no sleep for me again tonight. Back to the USA now, and the disturbing case of an air hostess who claimed to discover a hard lump in her arm after witnessing a flying saucer beaming a blue light into her bedroom.
Now there it is, folks.
Despite the poor quality, this dimly lit, yellow-tinged footage clearly shows there's something strange trapped just beneath the surface of her skin. Whatever the source, it's definitely a foreign body and shouldn't be there. What follows is some remarkable footage of the surgery which we'll spare you the gory details of. The P-shaped implant is removed by Dr. Roger Lear, who just so happens to believe the human race is being unknowingly genetically modified. Is that earwax? Yeah. That's it for part 4. Take a moment to sit back, relax, and be thankful you haven't been probed before we return with more entertainingly uncanny footage of UFOs caught on camera. Welcome back, UFO spotters. It's time to delve back into the world of the out-of-this-world and scrutinise more footage of the fantastical. Are aliens out there, or are our eyes just playing tricks? It's time for you to decide. Up to Canada now, and another strange shot in the dark. This time, as the subtle title card tells us, from somewhere near Niagara Falls, where a bright light in the night sky is caught on camera.
I can't keep this thing steady.
What starts off as a dancing white light turns a little later into a clear diamond shape. And after being zoomed in, the camera operator questions what it is.
I don't think it's a spaceship, but whatever it is, it's changing colors like crazy.
But what else could it be? After all, the video is titled Real UFO.
It's a spaceship.
I'm not convinced. It just looks like a torchlight in the distance.
It's even changing shapes.
It's a spaceship.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced. Sorry. In 2018, a taxi driver on his way home from the night shift noticed something strange in the sky over South Shields. On first glance, in the beautiful morning light, it looks like a plane, but the uploader wasn't convinced due to the short tail and no engine sound, and with the zoom in not helping much. I think I'm going to give this UFO a name: sleep deprivation. To Arizona, where in March 1997 a host of unusual activity was witnessed in the skies over Phoenix and explored by the History Channel's tense documentary The Unexplained Close Encounters, complete with dramatic husky voiceover.
During the second week of March 1997, many Phoenix residents noticed strange lights in the sky.
The event, now dubbed the Phoenix Lights, was seen by multiple eyewitnesses, some dressed as a pirate,
cell phones, pagers, and websites,
while others styled themselves on the Terminator. Don't worry, that's a homemade camera, not a gun. Leather-clad Tom King's footage showed at least 6 bright lights in the sky, which clearly got him excited.
These things were close. They were about the size of your thumb. with your hand extended of your thumbnail. They were like orange suns, very bright, but they illuminated nothing around them. I mean, nothing.
And as can be heard on his footage, he wasn't the only one.
There's one behind the chimney. One just flared up. I got 4 of them. Major sighting here.
Never truly explained, one answer is military flares, but that hasn't satisfied the thousands of witnesses. Ah, the wonders of the internet. You can view another part of the world without even going there, like Antarctica. But while exploring, one such armchair traveller stumbled on something quite interesting. Captured on Google Earth and painstakingly tweaked to make things clearer, these blurry images seem to show 2 jets chasing a UFO over Zucchelli Station at Terra Nova Bay in Antarctica. Although the uploader claims this shows real evidence of UFO activity, over-the-top graphics are a distraction, leaving viewers confused and bewildered. However, later on, the distraction is a whole different entity on this grainy screen. 1 minute 30 seconds in, and something more familiar appears. Maybe in black and white it's not clear, but if we add a little colour... If it is a classified event accidentally captured, is it because Santa's supposed to live in the North Pole, not the South? And are the planes, in fact, chasing his sleigh? And now a perplexing clip from outer space.
Thank you. There's a lot of people swimming around out here. I'll bet. And we know.
Following a convenient break in the feed, we're able to see what we assume the astronaut based at the Mir space station was covertly alluding to. And then later in the feed, more flashing white dots. Clearly there's something NASA isn't telling us, but what's more puzzling is who's actually filming this? To the north of the UK now, where in September 2012 a dazzling light display baffled 3 separate parties, each provoking a typically blunt northern reaction. The first, captured in Preston, blew the minds of these 2 friends.
Can't zoom in. A meteor or something. Can't zoom in. You can only see it a bit. Right. It's gonna go. It's gonna go. A meteor. You're right.
Well, the second was so shocked he held his camera the wrong way round, which appeared to send the UFO hurtling towards Earth. And finally, these 2 enterprising lads
I'm following them with the camera.
Could be worth a lot of money.
Could only see pound signs. Back to the States now, where if you go down to the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise, as independent psychic medium and private paranormal field researcher Jay Burkhart discovered when he headed out with his infrared camera and caught this camouflaged little fellow. Oh, can't you see it? It's there. Still no? Me neither. I think this guy might need new glasses.
Holy I can see it with the viewfinder, but I can't see it with my actual eyes.
I'll book the opticians now, shall I?
I'll try waving at it.
It doesn't even respond to what sounds like a very vigorous wave. How rude. According to Burkhart, when he eventually moved to get closer, he could no longer see it. Funny, that. This next slowed-down clip of the moon, recorded in extreme close-up through a telescope, appears to show an alien craft attempting to recreate the iconic scene from the film E.T., Sans bicycle. Either that or his lens could do with a bit of a clean. In this next clip from Cuba by Ernesto Lopez, and expertly filmed in slow motion, we join 2 friends inventively practicing their basketball skills with a makeshift hoop. But as one of them approaches to attempt to dunk, keep your eyes focused on the centre of the screen, as an object flies through the frame so fast that even at these low speeds, it's difficult to track. In fact, it's so quick that not even the impressive slow motion is able to accurately capture the possible alien craft, and it was only when they reviewed the footage of their incredible sporting prowess they saw anything out of the ordinary. So a slam dunk to the UFO on that one then. Off to Texas now, where hipster vloggers Eric and Allison, aka The Endless Adventure, demonstrate their alien spotting skills as they travel to Marfa to see the famous unexplained lights that appear in the desert.
Yeah. And now we might go to a brewery to kill time before we go get an awesome time lapse of the sunset over the mountains.
To Marfa.
Fully stocked with Dutch courage and a quirky upbeat soundtrack, these cool cats inspect the high-tech UFO viewing station.
Okay, so this is the viewing area for the Marfa lights, and what's supposed to happen is that when it gets dark, you're supposed to see weird little lights off in the distance. They even have little, viewing thingies.
Armed with impressive technical know-how, this intrepid pair finally get what they came for, a shot of the infamous lights.
Yeah.
However, Eric's footage, bizarrely filmed through a telescope, produces a rather limited tunnel vision view. Nonetheless, it's still possible to make something out in them thar hills.
Maybe the road turned?
I don't get it. Well, there's no way there's people driving out there. It's impossible.
Often blamed on the reflection of car headlights, the couple are right to be sceptical, as they creepily appear even when there are no cars present.
What the hell are those?
Mm-hmm.
Look, there's 3 of them. No, there's 4 of them. That is so weird. There isn't a car in sight.
The 4 lights flickering in the distance could be of earthly origin, but one thing's for sure, they know they're being watched. Toronto, Canada now, and 2 guys hilariously reacting in a way that only Jesse from Breaking Bad would appreciate.
Whoa! What the f***? It's like disappearing and shit. What the f*** is that? Seen it first. It's like Christmas UFO.
This swearfest, complemented perfectly with the Green Day-style music, shows a genuine reaction to what looks like an ordinary light display.
What is that?
In reality, they just look like beautiful Christmas lights, but these Wayne's World wannabes seem convinced otherwise. Commenters on the upload suggested this might have been a local drone show. However, the show took place 2 days after this was uploaded. So did our buddies react accordingly when these lights disappear?
Dude, what the f*** was that?
And then reappear in a different form?
Where is it? What the f***? Oh!
And for once, they're silenced.
What is that? It went from an 8 to like a 9.
Back to the Mirthmobile, guys.
Better not be counting.
Next, we're in Los Angeles, California, where Julian Lopez captured a bizarre sight in the sky above his home. A curious floating ball.
Well, my friends, is a UFO over San Gabriel Valley.
What's nice about this footage is that we get to see the person filming it, but we don't want to see up your nose, Julian. We just want to see the UFO.
40-something, and it's still up there.
What at first seems quite exciting very swiftly becomes rather mundane as it becomes apparent that the floating ball isn't going anywhere. There is, however, a brief moment of tension when a military-style chopper arrives to investigate. But it doesn't hang around for long, either getting bored too or realising that it poses no threat.
It looks like a what? Eyeball?
Yeah.
Looks like a big eyeball. Helicopter's leaving the area.
As the footage progresses, Julian tries to keep us interested with some guesses as to what it could be.
Is it a weather balloon or is it a UFO?
Which become more and more abstract.
No, on the top it looks like a... kind of like a dinosaur egg.
like a little laser thing on the bottom.
Can you think of any other egg-shaped things, Julian?
It looks like an egg.
Yeah, it looks
like a bird hatching out of an egg.
Okay, that's an Earth. Sorry.
Well, it looks like a perfect sphere, though, huh?
Over to Ecuador, where a government official who's on his way to a nearby volcano captured this remarkable footage of a possible visitor from another galaxy.
Once again.
The strange formation of flashing lights is incredibly clear in the night sky. With the clip conveniently subtitled, we can tell that the cameraman is pleased with his discovery.
¡Qué belleza! Es como una araña. ¡Qué belleza!
I don't know what kind of crazy spiders they have in Ecuador, but I doubt they look like that, or can fly. Probably an alien.
Es una nave preciosa. Una cosa fantástica.
Next, a retro clip from Yorkshire TV's 80s paranormal series Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. This fascinating documentary, fronted by the legendary UFO enthusiast himself, takes us on a journey exploring famous UFO footage from the past.
40,000 feet up, so it looked like a brilliant object
silvery object in the sky.
A little later, he pauses to analyse the most famous one of all.
This, shot at Catalina Island in California by professional cameraman Lee Hansen.
It was one of these clear days, and that's why I was up, because you could see to infinity.
Presented by a man who looks like the inspiration for Anchorman's Ron Burgundy, this stunning 16mm cinefilm footage of a metallic disc flying over the mountains has had people debating its legitimacy for well over half a century, and it's clear to see why.
20 meters across.
Slow it down for us, Ron.
It appeared silver with a shadow underneath, as though it was metallic, and it was moving at a rate of speed, I would say 150 miles an hour plus or minus, and appeared to be maybe 20 meters across.
The programme then goes to infinity and beyond to analyse the footage, with its 1980s glorious state-of-the-art technology, complete with a human Penfold lookalike. This would definitely have been far more entertaining as a musical montage. 3 minutes in, and a conclusion is reached that must have enraged committed ufologists around the world.
This begins to look like a small commercial airplane, and one can draw the comparison.
Dr. Nathan, clearly excited by Bring Your Favourite Toy to Work Day, then draws his own conclusion from the data analysis.
And that's it. The Catalina film, I'm afraid, falls into the category of an identified flying airplane.
And there was more bad news when the doyen of futurists and UFO enthusiast agrees and concludes with a shock announcement of his own.
Well, I've looked at this film quite a few times, and I'm convinced that it was a small private plane.
Regardless of whether or not you agree with Arthur's conclusion, the footage is genuinely intriguing and rightfully earns its place in the annals of incredible UFOs caught on camera. Off to Minnesota, USA, where this potty-mouthed poster witnessed something truly bizarre in the sky.
What the is that, dude? Do you see that?
The faint ring of light silently levitating above the houses certainly has the look of a flying saucer about it. But if you take another look, they might also be lights from the local casino. But which is it? Place your bets, please. We've come to the end of another selection of the baffling, the unearthly, and the quite frankly unbelievable. Come back for more entertaining ET excitement after the break. Welcome back. We've been enjoying a lot of mind-bending footage so far, but is it really solid proof of the existence of alien beings? Watch these curious clips and decide for yourself. Over to the Middle East now, where this next contentious clip from Saudi Arabia got ufologists all excited. The video was shot by Paul Mark Sampega, who saw 3 fiery orange orbs appear out of the back of his workplace, which just so happens to look like a fenced-off construction yard. The lights form a mysterious triangular shape common in UFO sightings as well as on building sites. This incredibly grainy footage, captured in portrait mode, finally shows one of the lights inexplicably disappear, leaving everybody in the dark as to what this could possibly be. Next, we're in San Diego, where grainy neon footage shows yet another weird cluster of circular lights hovering in the skies.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have lights like that, number one. They have, like, the flashing red, not like these, like, fire lights.
The lights appear to float in a strange formation, which sent some witnesses into a frenzy of barely contained mild interest.
What is going on? Okay, so there's another...
The helicopter's coming back.
Government officials responded by claiming that the strange lights were actually flares released as part of a military test drill 30 miles off the coast.
It's so bright. I've never seen one that bright before.
But with conspiracy theorists refuting this, it could be a genuine UFO or just barbecue night on a passing cruise ship in the bay.
And look, they're starting to twinkle now.
Back again to Saudi Arabia and Paul Sampega, who was so obsessed by what he'd previously seen that he ended up recording a second video that night. The 3 orange orbs are back, but this time accompanied by a more telling rumbling engine, reminiscent of construction machinery, perhaps even a crane.
Let's say go.
The atmosphere is finally made all the more alarming due to the high-pitched beeping that accompanies the triangle of lights. Could it be alien communication? Perhaps they're just reversing. Back to the States, and another floating disc, this time cruising over the blue skies of Cincinnati. As the cameraman zooms in, he struggles to keep it in frame, but it's clear that's no regular aircraft. Although at this distance, in shaky cam mode, it's hard to tell.
You guys like, wait, I'm zoomed in all the way.
Just hold the thing still, man.
What is that?
Now, even if we can't make it out, his sighting has drawn a few onlookers, which means there must be something unusual going on. Further into the clip, the uploader clarifies what he's seen.
What is it? A UFO. You see it? Yeah.
Glad you have, because I've seen squat. Over to Puebla, Mexico, a hotbed for UFO sightings, as was revealed in the typically 90s and boastfully titled UFOs, the best evidence ever caught on tape. The show expertly examined the strange goings-on during the 1991 solar eclipse, where spectators who had their eyes turned to the skies, expecting to see the eclipse, were met with an incredible sight. An object like a silver disc moving through the air. Tracking down old grainy home footage from 4 separate eyewitnesses, the programme was able to analyse the footage through the then groundbreaking technology of a split screen. And although the footage is of poor quality, they all clearly show the same galactic gatecrasher, conclusively proving there was something in the skies that day. Expert studies, however, thought it was potentially man-made. After all, an eclipse would be the ideal time to play a hoax in the skies. In New South Wales, Australia, local residents were stunned when they witnessed a blazing light in the night sky. Although it's difficult to decipher exactly what this is, you can hear that these Australians are clearly panicked by what they're seeing.
Look outside, what is it? Look out there. That's an airplane crashing. Oh my God.
Once this sparkling footage was uploaded, YouTube commenters had plenty of their own theories, from Russian rockets to meteors and even Iron Man. Whether it's man-made or not, what is starkly obvious is that this UFO gives off a marvellous display. This next stunning clip shows a seemingly ordinary dark night sky. Wow, that's stunning. But what was that amongst the lightning? Even slowed down, it does look curious. A V-shaped craft, perhaps? Now to Geneva, where this dubious-looking UFO footage has so many holes in it, it's surely Swiss cheese. Captured by YouTuber Dimitri, this static craft looks more like something from a kid's toy box than another world. With the UFO poised at a jaunty angle, this would seem to be an obvious hoax, but the presence of the helicopter tentatively circling might suggest otherwise. Ontario, Canada, and a groovy clip from classic documentary The Alien Files, UFOs Under Investigation, where following a UFO crash, Sigmund Freud lookalike Graham Lightfoot and his buddy found themselves at the centre of a tantalising conspiracy theory.
Roswell Desert. American and Canadian UFO researchers began to receive a series of strange documents in the mail.
Accompanied by possibly the most laid-back lift music ever used in a UFO documentary, this highly stylised film sets out to prove that aliens did indeed crash land in the officially named town of Carp, Ontario, despite official denials by US and Canadian authorities.
That Guardian had sent.
Later into the documentary, we get to see covertly taken footage of the UFO at the alleged crash site, which was sent in anonymously to the investigators.
Time picture. So it's totally black background with these 4 flares or red lights. And
clearly showing some strange flashing lights, and with sound effects added later, it certainly leaves us with a tantalising image of what did or did not happen that night.
The fact that it's illuminated.
The following footage from New Mexico contains gruesome images of an alleged alien autopsy, so if you're of a sensitive disposition or are eating dinner, look away now. This rather famous footage is from Roswell, where it's claimed an alien crash-landed in 1947. Purportedly showing the autopsy of a genuine ET, this morbid but compelling documentary, Alien Autopsy, Fact or Fiction, tells the story.
How hard would it be to make a dummy that bleeds so convincingly?
With question marks over the authenticity of the footage, Oscar-winning special effects artist Stan Winston offers up his expert opinion.
My initial reaction when I first saw the piece was that it was not real.
Joined by a crack team of sleeveless sidekicks, Stan and his companions collectively cast a critical eye over the gory footage.
I don't know how they did this. If it's been done today to look like it was done then, there would be many, multiple thousands of dollars.
After examining all the evidence, these Hollywood gurus give us their expert conclusion, which is inconclusive.
Be very expensive. And my hat's off to the people who created it.
Facts or fiction? I think we know the answer. Heading over to the vibrant coastal city of Virginia Beach, and YouTuber Mandy AMF recorded a strange hovering light at the top of the city's Westin building. The UFO was seen around 12 AM on April the 18th, 2015, with Mandy providing some rather strange commentary of her own.
My mom's gonna love this. It's so cool. I wish it would do something else though.
When the UFO remains hovering in the same position for some time, Mandy is clearly losing interest, as you can tell by the phone camera moving about. However, just shy of 3 minutes in, this happens.
It's not moving at all.
Keep watching. Stick with it. Wait. Don't switch off. Don't switch off. Keep it steady. Steady.
Oh, whoa, that was really cool. It just swooped like really far away. I don't even know where it went.
Well, whatever that was, it shows you have to be patient when filming UFOs. Now for something truly out of this world. The entertaining documentary Close Encounters, Proof of Alien Contact mixes classic archive with unbelievable images of the surface of Mars, which, recorded by NASA in the 70s, appear to show the shape of a face, and if the authoritative voiceovers to be believed, is a pretty big one.
On the Martian surface. Photographic examination has revealed the face is over 1,500 feet tall and over a mile in length. Vikings sent back these...
The programme later reveals that there are other surrounding structures too, making this giant discovery a real space oddity, begging the question, is there life on Mars?
Responded to the public's claims that...
California, USA, and an unusual car ride with a man that sounds like America's answer to Nick Knowles. While he passionately talks about his latest construction project, one of the passengers discreetly films a cigar-shaped object flying above the car.
Because they got the concrete and everything like that.
The occupants seem more concerned with their next job than the flashing lights and impending doom overhead, so definitely more a case of DIY than SOS. This next clip is taken from a well-crafted documentary called The Bridgewater Triangle, which features an area in Massachusetts famous for unexplained phenomena. The grave tones of the narrator, together with the eerie soundtrack, add drama to the bizarre eyewitness accounts.
Former Raynham resident Derek Holt claims to have witnessed a UFO above the skies of his former hometown. Unlike other UFO witnesses within the Bridgewater Triangle, Holt captured video footage of his sighting.
I first started seeing these orbs in the sky.
At first glance, this footage looks not too dissimilar from other UFO sightings, but as the monotone narrator personally testifies, this was unique, as the main light seemed to be guided by two smaller orbs, suggesting something truly unusual was taking place.
I don't know how high. It would be a bright light, and then it would turn into like a plane and fly off. And then I see
painstakingly added handy pointers demonstrate the sighting. Not sure how much help these are.
You can actually see small orbs, like little softball-sized, baseball-sized orbs going back and forth, working with the ship to bring it in.
But the best bit is when we hear the unfiltered reaction to what he's seeing. Made all the scarier by the haunting soundtrack accompanying his beguiling nighttime footage.
I still to this day know I seen something that wasn't from this world.
Off to Switzerland, where if you're still on the fence about UFOs, this old grainy footage from documentary The Silent Revolution of Truth might swing you one way or the other.
Smooth and flowing movements.
Exploring the strange claims of supposed UFO contactee Billy Meyer, The documentary analyses his low quality and rather inconclusive self-shot footage. Despite being shot in the 1970s, this film seems to have more in common with the film pioneer and cinematic illusionist Georges Méliès than actual documentary footage.
However, at a certain point,
A later clip goes on to show a flying saucer miraculously disappear.
Now watch as the object will suddenly dart away.
How fortunate of Billy that he happened to have zoomed in at that moment, and there is a plausible reason too.
They have technologies that allow them to move out of phase, out of dimension.
Of course, your run-of-the-mill interdimensional travel. And if there are any skeptics out there doubting the validity of this footage, then listen up.
When the films were examined at Nippon TV, they discovered that indeed there had been no cutting and that the object not only disappears in one frame, but pops back in one frame just as suddenly as you see here.
Mystery solved. Any questions?
So where does it go while it's gone?
Well, that's a good question. As we observe,
Probably was just checking they hadn't left the gas on in another dimension. Over to Belarus, once part of an old superpower, where a couple driving at night noticed a classic-looking flying saucer hovering on the outskirts of Zhodzina city, presumably fueled by its own superpower. After what seems like a very low-key response to this amazing footage, wonkily shot on a smartphone, the pair decide to investigate further. Now this is very important. As can be heard in this clip, it's always polite to use the vehicle indicators when turning towards a craft of extraterrestrial beings. That's it for another part of Alien Awesomeness. But join us after the break, where we have more evidence from out of this world to shock and amaze you. Welcome back to this, the final part of 100 UFOs caught on camera, and our last instalment of Fortean footage, which will turn even the harshest cynic into a believer. The far-flung snowscape of South Georgia now, and the Sandwich Islands, located slightly to the north, where UFO-obsessed YouTube channel Secure Team 10 stumbled on an inexplicable find whilst alien hunting on Google Earth.
Discovered this, and what appears...
Using the high-quality images to zoom in, we're shown what they believe is a 1,000-metre-long landing strip.
That at some point...
The overly earnest narrator of this clip clearly seems to think he's onto something.
Object came down from the sky and hit it, actually breaking away parts of the mountain, as seen from this debris field.
It could be an alien crash site, or perhaps it's just the after effects of an avalanche.
And the ejecta.
To Vietnam, where they love the sight of UFOs in the morning. This brief but illuminating clip, recorded from the 11th floor of a hotel, shows a bright strip of light in the early morning sky, which in itself is rather mysterious. But what's stranger still is how later on it suddenly vanishes into thin air. Wiltshire, 1990. Back in the days when EMF were topping the charts and strange circles were cropping up in fields all over the south of England.
And here we are back at the...
Notorious hoaxers Bauer and Chorley claimed that they made most of them using rudimentary equipment, but what they didn't factor in was this poor quality clip filmed by photographer Stephen Alexander and his friend, which intriguingly showed a UFO moving away from a freshly made crop circle. Around 30 seconds in, Stephen spots a glowing white orb, which at this distance is impossible to make out clearly for both the viewer and Stephen. Later in the clip, they both watch transfixed as the small ball of light moves across the fields and off into the distance, both clearly still confused by what they're seeing. It eventually passes a local farmer working in his tractor, which comes to an alarming stop. I'm not sure it's a piece of paper, guys. Suggesting that there is truly something sinister going on. The driver of the tractor later admitted seeing the orb, which he described as a ball of light as big as a beach ball, glinting and flashing as it flew over him, which makes this unnerving footage unbelievable. This home video footage from Alvin, Texas shows a clear blue sky when suddenly something inexplicable starts to happen.
Look, David. Look. They're getting big. Oh, shut up. Look, look, look. It's getting bigger.
From nowhere, a mysterious white formation starts to materialise in the sky.
It was small. I mean, look.
Perhaps they're just clouds.
This is materializing out of the sky. Look.
David remains tight-lipped. I guess he agrees. New Jersey, USA, where there have been over 2,000 reported UFO sightings over the years, so it's no wonder that this individual captured an anomaly in the skies above his home. It's hard to make out, but this dim, murky footage shows a strange static light in the clouds. But as a plane passes by, something freaky happens. Watch again as the light shoots towards the plane. It might be aliens taking a closer look, or could just be a spotlight from the local downtown light display. Over to the Golden State of California on a typically sunny day at Huntington Beach, where passionate bearded evangelical preacher Ray Comfort delivered his message to an engaged young lady.
The Bible says of Jesus, he shall save his people from their sins. God became
Not put off by his small crowd of one, Ray carries on regardless, when mid-sermon a celestial being appears to descend from the heavens.
You and I broke God's law.
Did you catch it? Here it is again.
You and I
Although it looks remarkably like a seagull, there's no sign of it after it seemingly enters her head. So those with a little faith may be thinking it's a message from God.
He said a very
North Carolina, where the owner of this motion sickness-inducing footage claimed to see a spacecraft hovering over Lake Norman. Some commenters on his YouTube page say it's a blimp, if only he could keep the camera still long enough to be sure. Finally, he manages to keep the camera steady enough to tell...
Alright, this is all I can get of it. Y'all gotta go.
Oh no, he's gone. This next home video footage from Mexico City was used in the aptly named Best UFO Videos of the 90s compilation, complete with cheesy UFO graphics and a classic example of a flying saucer hovering in the sky. Although the overall quality of the footage is poor and overexposed, a supposed alien craft is clearly visible, which was certainly enough to convince this dishevelled man in an anorak.
In this case, apart from the video proof, which is quite clear, we have the testimony of at least 12 people.
Jacksonville, Texas, and this light-hearted news report from KLTV7, presented by wacky reporter Jamie Boyum, investigates a possible UFO caught on camera by Google Street View.
And this is the bridge where Google Maps managed to capture an image no one can explain. Not even the people of Jacksonville.
Oh, double glasses gag. See, I told you he was wacky. The dubious image of what is almost certainly a lens flare certainly seemed to shock and amaze the locals.
Whoa, what is that?
Oh, wow.
Wow! What is it? I don't know what it is. Look at it.
And what is that? A car in the sky?
I just told you it's a lens flare. Over to Japan, where bizarre light formations are seen in the sky above Fukuoka City. The uploader of these brief wobbly images claimed he was watching the clouds at sunset from his balcony when he saw these UFOs. You might have to squint to make them out. To me, they look more like clouds than spaceships, but I guess you had to be there. Still, lovely sunset though. This oddly abstract footage, complete with uber-chilled soundtrack, was captured by the International Space Station of the SpaceX Dragon capsule and looks like something right out of a science fiction film. The 3.5-hour live stream was beamed to the people of Earth, where partway through, some eagle-eyed viewers spotted a cluster of colourful lights floating by. Even when you zoom in, it's very subtle, so hard to decipher exactly what it is. It could be a craft, or some sort of organism swimming through space. One of those flying spiders again, perhaps. And they made a return visit later in the feed, suggesting that it wasn't only humans taking an interest.
Joining me on this early morning is...
December 2018 in California, USA, where Eric Quiroz is enjoying a lively cookout with his friends when he films something unusual in the stunning blue sky on his phone.
There's like a little white dot next to the moon.
But there's about multiple ones. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. I can see them on the phone. Mira, ahí se ve, mira, check it out.
If this wobbly, out-of-focus footage is anything to go by, then Eric may be enjoying the party a bit too much, as he struggles to focus on the white dot left of the moon.
They only see that one little one.
Although clearly impressed by what they see, Eric's friends ultimately seem more concerned with burgers than aliens and are keen to get back to the cookout.
That's pretty cool, though.
Something not lost on a lady who dismisses the whole thing as she rifles around the cutlery drawer. Over to Brazil, where as dawn breaks over a beautiful morning sky, the pilot of this plane whips out his phone to capture the moment. To his amazement, he films 3 bright orbs hovering in the distance. Amazed by what he sees, he double-checks his altitude before carrying on recording this curious display. Next, it's December 2018 and we're travelling by car through New Mexico, a notorious area for UFO sightings, and a typically suspicious object appears in the sky.
That is not a cloud.
Ignoring the other travellers' simple explanation and comically emboldened by the car radio, the driver continues to mark the event for posterity.
We're in New Mexico, guys. We're witnessing a UFO disguised as a cloud. This is amazing footage.
With his wild cloud-based theories causing even more hilarity with the other passengers.
It's hiding behind the rocks back there.
And with the radio music building to a crescendo, it doesn't really help his claims to be taken seriously, leaving his thoughts to wander lonely as a cloud. Or is that a spaceship? Next, we're near Great Lake Territory in Westland, Michigan, and it's literally a case of neighbourhood watch, as the uploader films a strange display of an impressively lit up sky, with a 16-second delay before the matching sound can be heard. Anyone who paid attention in school knows that light travels faster than sound, but 16 seconds seems to stretch that theory further than normal.
What is that?
And what looks like a scene from an old Hollywood war movie